Hello and welcome back to another episode of French Ear Trumpet. I'm Andy from AJ in France, and we have Colin from French Countryside Life as usual. So normally we come together once a week and talk about things that interest us or we think might be interesting to you. We didn't have a episode last week because of personal reasons for both of us, I think. So this week we are going to do some question and answers that we have from this channel and our other channels as well, because they're all relevant, and you might find something interesting in here that suits you. So let's get into it then.
Okay.
We've got right. Let me start then. One thing I want to mention because it's quite relevant, and one of the questions is, do you get many power cuts in France? So that must be from seeing both of our videos. I think, especially mine. I did one in the storm where we had a power cut for a long period of time, and recently, in fact, was it last week? It was last week, wasn't it?
It was last week. Yeah. We had a power cut for about 5 hours.
Yeah. So the answer to that question is in the countryside, yes, quite a lot actually, and you can be without power for recently. I think my brother was up without power for almost a day, 24 hours, following the last storm. But it depends where you are. If you're in a city or on the edge of a city, then you're probably not likely to.
Yeah, because everything's underground now, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, but the way things are done here, you've got lots of hamlets that are spread out, vast amounts of area and land between, and they're not the wires and the overhead cables aren't super well maintained sometimes.
Yeah, you only need a tree to come down, don't you? And
yeah,
so on. But what is really good is that certainly in my case, I don't know if it's because I've got an app on my phone, but if there's a power cut, I get it's normally a text message from Enedis to say that we're aware that the power's out, and we're working on it, and the projected fixed time is and it's normally really, really good.
I didn't know that actually. So you've got the Enedis application on your phone?
Yeah.
Right, that's something I could look into then. Because I don't come.
You know, on your because I'm an avid watcher of your brilliant videos on your channel, which has got 2,000 subscribers now.
I didn't want to mention it, but yeah, it has.
And I remember you put some hardware into your just below your meter to give you live feed to your wall screen.
Yep.
On your consumption side. Well, Enedis actually do that now. They've got an actual thing that plugs into your meter, and you can get that information through to the Enedis app on your phone.
That's interesting. Yeah, because it's very useful actually. And I will speak about something in a minute. But when we're on the subject, I'm subscribed to an EDF. EDF is the electricity provider, a bit like British Gas, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they, you can pick what kind of tariff you're on.
Yeah.
So I think you've got some days are on peak, some are off peak. So
that's right.
And the price varies between the two days. So it's cheaper off peak than it is on peak. And there are some you can subscribe to where overnight is cheap and then during the day is expensive. So there are other contracts you can do. Like I've got one called Tempo. So basically your days are split into 3, so you can have red days, white days or blue days. And the cheapest are blue, and they're really cheap. So price per kilowatt hour is about 13 cents per kilowatt hour. Now compare that to a normal, that's around anywhere between 18 to 20, maybe a bit over that for a normal base tariff. And it's actually, it's the cheapest electricity you can get in France is the EDF Blue Tempo off-peak. However, there is a compromise, and that is the red days.
Yeah.
And they're the worst. Now, there could only be 22 of them per year.
Sitting there in the dark.
Right. So I signed my mum up to this because she uses very little electric, and her bills dropped massively throughout the whole year, massively dropped. I mean, the probably halved their bills for the whole year. But this week, from Tuesday to Friday, has been all red days.
Wow.
And every red day, it's 75 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to add up, isn't it?
You can't put the oven on. You can't put the electric heating on. You can't do the microwave. You can't do the coffee machine, the kettle, washing machine, dishwasher, nothing between the hours of 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. After 10, it's back down to normal. But between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. you can't do it.
I should call it the 1750 tariff, because you have to live like someone from the 1750s.
Yeah, exactly. So after work today, I went around to see my mum, and pretty much
in the dark and the cold, wrapped up. Thanks for changing the tariff.
Now, fortunately, at my mum's, the heating is purely by wood fire, so there's no electric use for that. And the TV and lights don't really take much, so you can use them as normal. But it's just the high-powered equipment you can't use.
Curiously, I thought our reduced or low rate was between 12 and 2.
Okay.
And I couldn't work out because on the on EDF app you can get a breakdown, an hourly breakdown of what you've used. And when the pool was running, so the pool pump was running 24 hours a day, and the heat pump was on a timer, and I'd set the timer for the heat pump for the pool and the first world problem, by the way.
Yeah.
And the hot water heater, for the house, domestic hot water, 12 to 2. And I couldn't work out why there was a little spike just before. Anyway, it turns out the reduced rate is actually 12:30 till 2:30. So
you got half an hour.
For half an hour, I was half an hour each side of it.
Cooking it.
Yeah, I was rocking and rolling. The old meat was spinning around.
Like a helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. And one.
Actually, sorry, I've just got to tell you a quick story. So, my brother was a firefighter in London for years, and he was always getting up to shenanigans. And years ago, this must have been probably in the 90s, early 90s. He got this box from work, which I'm sure you're aware of, with 3 wires that come out of it, and it. What I used to do was slip the ends of the wires up inside the sleeve of the meter, so it touched the wire, and it made. This was when the electric meter had a little wheel that went round, and it used to reverse the direction of the wheel. So your electricity meter used to go backwards.
Yeah. So
anyway, one summer I went round to see him. And as I pulled into his road, I could hear it. I could hear his music. I thought, that's loud. So as I pulled up, I went into his house. All the doors and windows were open, and it was like a madhouse. He had every electrical appliance going, right? He had a clamp on his drill. His drill was going, and food mixer, oven was on, heating was full on, electric heating. It was about 200 degrees in there. It's like a madhouse. I said, what's going on? And he said, we just got a letter from the electricity board. They're going to come around and read the meter. And when I checked, it had gone about 200 units back past what the previous reading was. So use all this electric before they come and read the meter.
Brilliant. Oh, that's excellent. To be fair, we could talk about electric and tariffs and stuff. It's very boring, but we could talk.
Shall I do a question?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so this is on French Trumpet from Bedlam, UK. So read Q&A. I remember a promised intention from Andy for a CV or backstory of his life. Did I miss this?
When was that? When did I?
A few weeks ago. I don't know. I don't know when you said it. So just a quick précis, a quick summary of your life.
My life is incredibly boring. So I don't think anyone really wants to know. Yeah. So
you was born at a very early age.
I was born, really early. Yeah. Almost zero. In fact, would have been.
So where was you born?
York, north of England.
Okay.
God's country.
Okay.
Obviously.
Went to school.
Went to school, as usual.
How did you do at school?
I would say average, probably, something like that.
Yeah.
I would have done a lot worse if my mum hadn't put a lot of effort in to get me up to scratch for the exams.
Right.
Because I just basically didn't really like school at all. No.
Yeah. Did you go to grammar school or comprehensive?
No, there was no grammar school. Well, was there? Not near me. It was just a normal secondary school.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, what did you do when you left school?
Trained as a computer technician, actually. Went to college and got my qualifications in that. Did computer IT stuff.
That would have been in the very early days, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. I remember going into college and all the computers were 386s.
Right, yeah.
And I remember when the 486 came in and there was one and that was in the teacher's office.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, the professor's office. So yeah, that was really early on.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. Did you see that? I see a Sky News thing that Google have just bought out the first proper quantum chip.
I think it's not Google. I think it's Elon Musk's lot.
Tesla. I'm sure it was Google. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
there.
I've seen it. I thought it was, but I might be wrong.
Mm.
But
anyway, so
you can solve massive equations overnight. I think. Yeah. Amazing.
Anyway, so where did you go after you got sick of computers?
Family business in bathrooms. My dad didn't fit them. He owned a company which employed fitters to do them. But it was then when I learned all the stuff you see on here from plumbing and that kind of stuff. And my dad was incredibly clever with electrics. And he was a radar technician in the RAF. And then he lectured at university on electronics, and he was head of service at Farnell Instruments.
Brilliant.
And then he had his own company solving problems. And he made the first device to measure the bounce of squash balls for Dunlop in Pontefract.
That's amazing.
And then he used to sit and teach me in the evening with a piece of paper and a pencil all about electronics.
Amazing.
Which was fantastic. Family business. It was.
And then after that,
I joined the police.
Yeah.
In the UK, did some time.
How long was your career in the police?
I did. I was quite good. I I joined North Yorkshire to start with, and there was 1,300 officers in the whole force, and the area is bigger than Greater London.
Right.
And it was incredibly strange because you were always on your own, and everything was done on your own, and you did everything yourself. And then I transferred down to the Met, where I spent the rest of my time down there, and I did some really good stuff. I served on a couple of units which were really good, and one of them doesn't exist anymore, which was a motorcycle crime unit. So we would literally get in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, get the motorbikes, scrambler bikes out, and we'd spend the whole day, 10 hours, driving around chasing people on other motorbikes or mopeds who've stolen phones or burgled houses and that kind of stuff.
You got paid for that?
And we got paid for it.
That's amazing.
And it was incredibly dangerous. And people really, I broke my leg, and I mean, people used to come off all the time. It was very, very dangerous. But I met some incredibly, really interesting people. And then I moved to Diplomatic Protection Group after that, still riding motorcycles, but this time looking after Westminster and embassies, diplomats, and we were armed this time, so it was completely different type of work. And then I left and carried on where I left off with the family business, doing all the plumbing, electrics, building, that kind of stuff for several years. And then
you go to France.
And then I moved to France to look after my dad, my mum at the time, obviously, who had Parkinson's. And then he died, and I stayed in France, partly forced because of Brexit. But yeah, anyway, so that's where I am now. And now I've got a job, and I fit solar farms, massive ones, and do technical electronic work with inverters and batteries and that kind of stuff.
Brilliant.
There we go.
There we are. Okay.
Quick praise.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's it.
So, did you want to do one off your list, or should I carry on with the?
So I've got a question saying they see my video that I've got an electric car in France, and they're wondering if it's viable, and what are the charging stations like, and the availability of chargers and that kind of stuff. Whether it's worth getting an electric car, basically. It's a good question, actually. Yes, I think it is, certainly in France. So from, I know maybe 4-5 people who've all got Teslas. And I've got a Dacia, which is the cheapest one you can buy, but
Dacia Spring, isn't it?
Dacia, yeah, it's really, really good. So why did I get an electric car? Because the price of electricity in France is really cheap. So I charge mine up at home, as we've previously mentioned, about 13 cents a kilowatt hour. And then the chargers out and about, they cost, for a fast charge, about 35 cents a kilowatt hour. So I could charge it up probably at home. It takes me about €5 to charge it up, and that'll get me about 200 kilometers. So that's not bad. And the availability of charging, there's more, I've looked on a map, there's more charger points around me now than there is petrol stations. And I'm in the middle of the country, so I've never struggled to find one, and I've never turned up and found one out of order or broken, but that might be just where I live or where I drive. But I very rarely charge them from charging points anyway. It's all done at home for me.
Yeah.
It saved me so much money, I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
And there's other benefits. In the morning, like especially this morning, I leave at 7:30, and it was -1 here this morning. But it doesn't bother me because I just turn on the preheat of the vehicle. It's all defrosted, warmed up, all done before I even step out the front door.
Wicked. Welcome to the
And
21st
it
century.
works the opposite way in summer as well. You can cool it down if you wanted to. And you can do that even if it's not connected to your house. So you have an app on your phone And wherever you are, as long as it's got more than 30% of battery, it'll preheat or pre-cool it. And it's the same with the Teslas. It's the same with most electric cars.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it if you can afford the car. Oh, on that point, Peugeot are doing a really good deal at the moment. You can do a lease on a Peugeot electric car for €100 or €120 a month, and that is just insane because you will save that much from swapping from a diesel or a petrol to that per month.
I might have a look at that actually.
And yeah, so you're basically, for the same amount you pay now, you're getting a new car, and yeah, it's definitely worth it. So,
yeah, I'll have a look at that.
Good question.
So a few questions here. Hang on. Robbie from Escape to France, Chiron, link in the description.
Never heard of him.
Well, funny to say that. First question: what's your favourite Saint Laurent based YouTube channel?
Favorite what?
Saint Laurent based YouTube channel. Saint Laurent de Cerise, I think it's called. It's where Robbie lives.
No, don't know it. No, don't know any.
I've heard there's a proper chancer there. I don't know what it's all about there. Question 2: what is the French attitude to health and safety in the workplace?
Good question, actually. I'm actually quite well placed to do that because I've worked on building sites in the UK, and I don't know what it is in America, to be honest, or Australia. So I can't really comment on those. Can only compare it to the UK. So the UK is vastly, super strict compared to here. And when I say super strict, you can't get in a forklift truck and drive a forklift truck if you haven't got a license, if you haven't done the course. You can't drive a digger. You can't. There's so many things you can't do if you haven't done the course. It's not the case here. So you can arrive on a work site. Now, let me put this way. It probably is the case that you need the permits and the licenses, but the checking up on it is so lax.
Stop here. Yeah.
There's no one from the outside or health and safety inspector that's going to come in and say, look, can I see your permit, whatever.
Permit de conduire.
Exactly, for this, I don't know, telehandler or whatever it is. Yeah. So in that respect, no, it's not. You're just not checked on. The rules are there, but they're just not enforced, I think. So you could quite easily fall to your death on a French building site. There's virtually no barriers or security whatsoever.
Thing is, you'd probably have to wait till 2 o'clock for an ambulance, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But so, if you're before 2 o'clock, they want to know why you're not at lunch. Why are you on site?
Yeah. So, question 3. Can you say the French words for squirrel and pumpkin? Yes. Question 4. Why are your main channel's content light recently? That's a really good question.
That is a good. Right, you answer that first.
Okay. So for me, I've been doing a lot of the same stuff. So I've been cutting grass and fixing a few bits here and there, and it's difficult to film in people's houses because it's people's houses. Jane's had a go at me for not filming videos. So and she's right. She is right. So I'm gonna get a grip on it. Certainly in the new year, but I'll try and knock one out before Christmas. Yeah, so that's me.
I look forward to that because you've got Charlie to update us all on it as well.
Yeah. So Charlie's under the desk at the moment. It's a big day.
So for me, I came to the realization that nobody really watches my channel.
Other than the 2,000 subscribers, you mean?
Yes, but they're not really subscribers. So at the last view, my video for my shower tray waste fixing is well over 100,000 views.
There you go.
And some of the other ones are transit videos and whatnot. They're just crazy views, like 80,000, 90,000, that kind of stuff. but they're not there to watch me or have no interest in what I do whatsoever. Those people are probably a handful, if I'm honest.
Right.
And it's like they look, oh, this guy fixes a transit, right, I'll subscribe so I can find him again later. And it's basically that.
Yeah.
The content that I do about what I do that I think is interesting, absolutely nobody else finds interesting except for a small minority of people.
Okay.
And I always said that I would only do it as long as I wanted to do it.
Mm.
And I got this new job, which is fantastic, and it's been super busy. However, I do know that there are some things that I started on my videos, like my heating system, solar panels, and that kind of stuff, which I haven't finished, which I want to finish. So I will be putting out videos soon on how that all turned out, which will be interesting.
Look forward to that. So question 5 and question 6. Can you do a French ear trumpet episode absolutely bladdered one day?
Well, how's that different to normal?
Oh no.
God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Situation normal. Snapper, isn't it? And question 6 was, can you do an episode with Jane? And question 7, 5 and 6 together. So yeah, we get Jane on, and yeah, she's always got a lot to say.
Yeah, that would be good actually.
Yeah.
That'll be well worth a watch.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a so we've done that one. Okay, so I've got where is it? Crime.
Crime.
Someone asked me about crime.
Okay.
What's the level of crime? It's very difficult to say.
From what I'm aware, it's pretty much common sense. It's pretty much if you're in an urban environment, you know, in the major conurbations, the major cities, then obviously you've got a higher crime level. In the country where we are, it's more what's the word? It's more crime that's going to be someone's driving past and they'll see someone from out of the area.
Right.
Driving past and see something in your front garden and have it away.
Have you experienced any while you've been in France?
No, nothing. Got to say, nothing.
No, I've got to be honest. I haven't really experienced any crime, that kind of thing.
It does actually make you complacent. That's one of the issues. I remember a guy that come to, or one of the guys that come to fit our front door. We was talking about this, and he lives in a really rural place. It's about 30, 40 kilometres from us. And he said that he doesn't lock his front door. In fact, he doesn't even know where his front door keys are.
Right. Fair enough. I don't know whether I'd go to bed at night with the door unlocked.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think that's because of where we're from? And certainly your experience. Do you think that's because of where we're from, or because?
Interesting. So I was at work today, and we're in it's like a kitchen-y canteen area, and there's about 7 or 8 of us there. One of the guys is a French police officer from the Police Nationale, but he's on a career break, and he's doing this, and he will go back to being what he is. It was quite interesting. He said, and I was asking him about the crime in the areas and that sort of stuff, and he says, in the countryside, it's hidden. That was his words. You don't see it very often, but there is some there. And I think he means by that, you know, like, I guess domestic violence or assaults or
behind closed doors,
all sorted out between the parties rather than being reported. But I think we're more probably talking about dishonesty, like theft or burglary.
Yeah, crime. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
But he said there's a lot.
Crimes against a person.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot of suicides
Mm.
And it's funny you should mention that because, or I should mention that because I was talking to another expat couple who live nearby, who I get on with quite well, and they said there's been 2 suicides in their village, both of them farmers, sort of mid to late 40s, both the same, both killed themselves, and apparently that's quite, but that's not crime as such.
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's quite prevalent.
I was just thinking, being a farmer, you've got any number of ways to top yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, but
You could be quite creative, couldn't you?
I don't know about that, but yeah. So that's crime wise. I've never been subject to crime in France that I know of. It does go on, I guess, but I think violent crime like you would experience in a city, not in the countryside, and theft and burglary. I think if you get something stolen, it's probably going to be from your shed or something from your garden, like you said. They're not. I did check now. Actually, this is interesting. There is a crime map, and you can put your address in and find out when the last time a burglary was in your area, or what kind of offences are prevalent in your area. And I went on it, and my last time there was a burglary in my area was in 2016.
Right.
So that's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, 8 years ago. Yeah, it's amazing.
So I'm quite happy with that. I'll stick with that, if I'm honest.
There you go. All right. So next question from David Malloy. Why don't you, or have you, use Google Assistant Interpreter on your phone to have a 2-way conversation with a French person? I would say that I have done it, but it's not foolproof, and it's very, very slow, and it's and it's not always accurate. So a few times where I've had to do it, they've looked at it, read it, and gone, don't understand
what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. As at work, nobody speak. Well, there's one guy who does speak some English, but his English is worse than my French, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But the rest, not a word. And so I have to get along every day at work doing technical stuff, seriously technical stuff, and it's all in French. Now, curiously, we don't use any of the translating stuff because it's just not fast enough. You mentioned it then. It's too slow. Even if you try, get it wrong, but you can still get the message across. It's way faster than typing, waiting, and then you receive it. Yeah. If you're in an official capacity, such as in a bank, or sat down with a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer, and you had the time, I think it would work. Yeah. But like you say, it's not super accurate.
No.
I tend to just say what I want to say. If it's not understood, think of a different way to say it and say that. You'll learn better. Like
what I have found actually with Google Translate, it tends to use the informal version of words as well.
Yeah, it does.
Which is, which can put you in an awkward position, really.
So I've had to put together documents at work, reports and stuff like that, and it's so time consuming to type it in French, in English, and then translate it into French. But I'm still not good enough to write it myself in French, so I have to do it, and it takes forever. And it's really, really time consuming. So yeah, that in answer to the question, for me, is too slow. But if there was something I had to get across that was urgent, then I could do that.
Okay, so shall I do another question, or have you got one?
Let me have a quick look. Done electric cars, have heating, time crime level. Go on, you do another one, and I'll think of one after that.
Okay, so Kelly, Jane's eldest daughter, she left a question. She's over on in between Christmas and New Year, so that'd be
fantastic.
Can't wait to see them both. Brilliant. So, according to the Sunday, this is a really good question, actually. Well done, Kelly. So, according to the Sunday Times today, which is 2 weeks ago, 99,000 Brits emigrated last year and 61,000 have returned.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that? And have you considered doing the same at any point in your journey?
Interesting. So my thoughts on that are the people that are going back, I reckon they will be older and probably have health problems, and they'll find it easier to, I don't know, delicately to put it, continue their life in England because they can speak English.
Yeah.
So, or they've got family back in England. So, tends to happen. They reach a certain age and then they get ill, or they're thinking, I want to go back to England because I can communicate with the hospital or the treatment, and I want to be near my family because I'm not well. I think, and as you get really old, that's what's going to happen. So I think the majority, but not all, will be that returning to England will put more of a burden on the NHS than the people coming over here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's what I think. That's what I think's happening.
Yeah.
And obviously after Brexit, a lot went back. So there's a difference of 30,000 more are coming to France from those numbers, roughly.
Yeah.
That's interesting than going back.
Yeah. So, have you considered returning at any point?
I would not. I would not.
I'd rather gouge my eyes out with a spoon.
Something along those lines. Don't get me wrong, it has its charms. I mean, the English countryside I really like. I really enjoy it. And there are some things you do miss. Like, I mean, in a good old English pub, unfortunately, that would mean also like €10 a pint, £10 a pint or whatever it is now. But still, the actual going to an English pub in the countryside, I quite miss that. But that's probably about the only thing I miss, if I'm honest, apart from friends, obviously, but not people. But no, there's no reason why I would go back at the moment.
So, next question from Dave J. 6625. So he said, great episode as always. Thank you very much. Question from me is, if you won the lottery, would you change where you live and give up work?
Well, you're retired, aren't you?
Well, I'm semi-retired.
Well, yeah, I'd give up work. Of course I would, yeah.
Yeah, of course you would, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course you'd give up work, wouldn't you? Would you change where you live?
Yeah, so if you had a wheelbarrow full of cash, would you change where well, you've already done this. You've already changed where you live. You did that.
Yeah. I haven't got a wheelbarrow full of cash left, though, that's for sure.
Well, but you actually did that. You said, right, we moved, and this is interesting actually, because I don't know if one of the episodes we did about finding houses, and you said that if you've looked at the 88th property and it's still not up to scratch, you're never going to find.
That's right. Yeah. People have unrealistic expectations. So they have this. People have this list of must-haves for their properties, big list, and if every single box isn't ticked, then they'll spend 18 years looking for it. The reason they haven't found it is because it doesn't exist.
Exactly, but they're missing a great big point there, which is that it's not your final house.
Yeah.
You can move over here, get your foot in the door, and then go and find another property.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is what you've done. You've lived somewhere, and at the time it suited you because it was close to England. You could use it as a second home, and then you moved over permanently, and then you decided, well, actually, we'd rather have better weather, etc., and you moved to a nicer location that suits you.
Yeah.
So that is the option. You can move here and then move elsewhere. But going back to the question, yeah, I'd probably move. If I could afford to move Where would I go? Probably for me personally, I would avoid the areas populated by English people, because I
Yeah.
quite enjoy now trying to fit into the French life and be French. So I'd find somewhere probably warmer, because I don't
Mm.
like cold.
Mm.
And I do like the mountains as well. So I'd probably try and get
Pyrenees somewhere.
maybe,
Mm.
yeah, perhaps, or the coast.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd have to have a lot of cash to do that.
Yeah, definitely. All right. You got a question?
Bureaucracy, it comes up a lot. And so I said, how difficult is the bureaucracy in France? Is it as everyone says it is? I think that's the gist of the question.
Yeah, I think it's for me. It was summed up because we use a really nice lady, lives and works in Chabanais, and she does the difficult admin that we, like some of the admin. I might do it, but I'm not sure I've got it right, so I'll get her to check it, or because if you fill in a form and it's wrong, they'll just send it back to you, won't they?
Oh,
They'll just send it back. They won't tell you where it's wrong. They'll just send it
no,
back.
no.
So anyway, to counter that, we get things checked. So I can't remember what it was for, but she said, "Oh, France has joined the 21st century. Do it all online now." I said, "Oh, brilliant!" So she's tapping away, and she set the printer going, and she printed out all these forms. And I said, "Have you not just done this online?" She said, "Yeah, but we have to do it on paper as well and send it in."
Yes. Now that's France for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had so many. I think the thing is, if you receive a letter in England from the government saying you owe us this or you need to do this, you like take this seriously. I probably get one every 2 weeks, some kind of letter of that kind of, you need to do this, you need to do that. I work on a 2-letter rule now. I just ignore the first one and wait
Yeah.
for the second, because if not, you would literally spend all your time
Doing admin, yeah.
doing admin,
Yeah.
and it's insane amount of paperwork for everything. So recently, I applied. I've got a septic tank here, but it's been there since 1960 something. And out the goodness of my heart, I was going to change it. So that's not very straightforward. Now, this is my top tip. Like you just said, get someone who knows what they're doing and just pay them to do it.
Yeah.
That applies to nearly everything. I do it with car greases for cars. I do it with insurance. I do it with everything. In England, I would do it all myself.
Yeah.
Because it's all very straightforward. In fact, when I sold property in England, I didn't even engage a solicitor to do the legal stuff. I did it myself.
Yeah.
Because it's possible, but here it certainly is not.
Yeah.
Just get someone to do it for you. Anyway, so I got a guy to come out, do all the paperwork. It's all done and dusted. Probably €500 for that and the level test and everything done, ready to go. So I can just fit this new septic tank anytime I want now, and it's done. And the peace of mind is like.
Yeah. So here's another example, right? So to change your driving license from UK to French.
Oh yeah.
Right. So you can't. I guess it's to control the amount of applications. You can't change your driving license unless your license is just about to run out. Your UK license is about to run out.
Yeah.
So I got done at a red light camera because they change so fast.
Yeah.
It's not like the UK ones. They give you time to think about it. It's like red light. It's like green light, red.
Yeah.
And anyway, I got done. So I paid the fine, and I'm expecting a letter anytime soon, asking me to similar licensing to have points put on it, because you start with points and you lose them rather than.
That's right. Yeah, different way around. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously they can't put points onto a UK license. So I'm gonna let them know that I've got a UK license, and they're gonna ask me to get a French license. So in a way, it's doing me a favour, because I'm then going to be able to apply to get a French driving license, because I changed my driving license because about 6 weeks before we were due to move out here, I noticed that my driving license had about 6 weeks left on it before it had to be renewed. So when we got here, I had a brand new driving license for like 10 years or whatever it is.
Nice.
And yeah, so anyway, so
Yeah.
the upshot of it is that I'm going to be able to get a French driving license
Yeah. I need to change
much
it.
earlier than I should have.
I'm just going to apply for mine anyway, even though it's not near the end of it, because, well, I'm just going to apply for it.
This makes life simpler, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the only thing still registered apart from my passport back in England, so I'm going to get that done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But in answer to the question, bureaucracy here is mental. Yeah. It is literally the worst thing about living in France for me. And it comes thick and fast, and it'll come out and blindside you as well.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. I went to the letterbox the other day, and I got 2 letters from the commune where I have the house that I'm renovating. Now, what happened was I declared that as uninhabitable, sent all the photos in, didn't have to pay habitation tax. So exactly. But if it's not furnished, and there's some rooms don't even have ceilings and walls. I mean, it's completely empty. And they were happy with it, and they said fine. But then the French government said, you need to declare what houses you've got on this bien immobilier site. You have to tell us where you live. You have to tell us any other houses you've got and all that sort of stuff. Did you you probably fill that in as well, didn't you, online?
I don't remember doing it, but probably, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so I went in as a good citizen. I put down where I'm living here. That's my primary residence. And the other house is a maison secondaire. Brilliant. So I now get a bill in the post, and because the property is split into 2 flats, that's 2 bills for 2023 saying you should have paid habitation tax. So I contacted them and said, no, I've told you it's uninhabitable. They said, well, yeah, but you went on this thing and said that it was your second home. Apparently it was another category you could have used, which was for houses that are uninhabitable.
Of course there is. Yeah.
Of course there is. Yeah. But it's not immediately obvious, and apparently they're catching a lot of people out like that. But I wrote to them with a letter saying, please disregard this. This is when I bought it, etc., etc. And then they sent me 2 more bills. This is for 2024 for the same thing. So I've now got 4 bills, totaling the entire total is about €1,700 for the lot, saying, and I'm just like, this is just insane. But anyway, the bureaucracy is mad.
All right, so question from Hugh.
Ah, yes, lovely. Love his channel.
Charlie McGrew.
Wouldn't it be nice? Link in the description.
Brilliant channel.
Yep.
My question to both of you is, what has been the biggest, most embarrassing mistake you have made while living in France? Right, I don't know where to start.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I do remember going. I think when we first moved here down to Chiron, we was having a barbecue, and there's a little artisan boucherie in Saint-Junien, real quaint little place, you know. And walked in there, and there was a lady being served, and it's a proper artisan boucherie, and they got like a cold fridge, open fronted cold fridge to the side, and they had all these ready-made kebabs, you know, lumps of meat, like, and I see this, what I thought was beef, and it looked really red and lovely. I thought, oh, that looks nice, some of that. And so I asked it like when the butcher got to serving me. Ordered. I got some nice sausages and this and that, and I said, "Oh, these kebabs." And he said, I can't remember the words now, but he said, "Would you like this or would you like that?" And no idea, no idea. And he's trying to explain to me what the meat was, and I just couldn't get it. And he's pointing to bits on his body where it's from, and I still couldn't understand. And in the meantime, the door went, and this young fella walked in, young Indian fella, strangely enough, walked in, and he's standing there watching what was going on, and he's pointing, to, and the fella said to me, like the young fella said to me, "You're English, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said to him, I don't know what he's trying to tell me. He said, "Well, what he's trying to tell you is that kebab is lung, and that kebab is spleen." I went, "No kebabs for me, thanks. You're all right." So just start with me sausages.
It'd be funny if you took it home and you started cooking it and you'd be like, "This is a bit odd. I don't know what this is."
I know, right?
It's not bad. It's not bad. Oh yeah. So when I first came over in 2019, Christmas 2019, I think. So this would have been early 2020, just before it all went a bit mad. My French was at a level where I went to the supermarket and bought something, and the lady behind the counter said, "Do you want your ticket? Do you want your receipt?"
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I just say no, that's fine, or whatever, or yes. But I didn't know what she was saying. So I was literally stood there for must have been 2 minutes. And 2 minutes doesn't sound a lot, but it is that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And she's kept asking me if I want a ticket. Now, on her part, she could have just went, "It's okay." And I would have walked off and it'd be fine. But I think she was kind of, I don't know, not on purpose. I don't know. But anyway, it was just going on, and it just felt like it was going on forever. And in the end, I just walked off.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the worst thing. But that was just to show you what my level of French was at the time. Now, a couple of days later, it was my dad's birthday, and I was going to get him a bottle of whiskey. And I went to the same shop, got the whiskey, and I was walking to the exit, and I dropped it.
Oh God.
So this was about, I don't know, €25 bottle of whiskey or something. Smash, hits the floor, and it's everywhere. And the same woman is there at the checkout. So my world is coming crashing down.
Yeah.
How do I talk to people about this with zero French? How can I possibly get out of this situation? I've got two options. I can just head for the exit now, or stick it out and see what happens. But I'm not gonna the kind of person that would run off. So I just went up to the desk and I kind of pointed at some kitchen roll type stuff they had. I said, "Can I get some of that to clean up?" Because everyone was watching, everybody.
Yeah, of course.
And the same woman who they had the problem asking for the receipt, she said, "Don't worry, it'll be fine," in English.
Perfect.
And I was like, right, okay.
Yeah, good.
So I said in French, because I'd improved a little bit since the first incident, I said, "I'll pay. I'll pay for it." She said, "No, just get another one, and it's fine."
Yeah, and just never come back.
The only person in there that speaks a small amount. It wasn't great English, but I mean, it's enough for me to go, "I'm all right, I'm off the hook here." But dropping that whiskey in front of everybody when you don't speak the language, you've no idea the pressure that puts on you.
That's it. The spotlight's on you, isn't it? No escape.
Because all the customers, and it's not the actual dropping of the whiskey,
Yeah,
because obviously I can afford to pay for it, whether they sweep it up or not. That's not a problem.
yeah.
You're going to have about 4 or 5 people very quickly around you asking and talking to you,
Yeah.
and how you deal with that.
And it's just not a scripted moment, is it?
Oh, it isn't.
So when we lived
They
up
don't
in
teach that
Normandy,
at school, do they? When you drop your bottle of whiskey, this is what you need to say.
strangely absent from the teachings, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when we lived up in Normandy, there was a shortage of doctors. It's difficult to find a GP, as most places. And I found out that there was that the local health authority had set up a GP surgery in the local hospital. So went down there and got an appointment. They said, "Which doctor do you want to see?" I said, "I don't mind, whichever." And so got an appointment. So Jane and I are sitting in the waiting room for the first appointment and waiting, and the door opens and this old fella stumbles out. He's obviously seen the doctor. The doctor sees him off, and as we stand up and walk towards the door, there's a really strong smell of body odour, like really strong, And we both looked at each other and thought, must have been the old boy, Probably can't look after himself, bless him. Anyway, so we go into the doctor's surgery and we're sitting there talking to the doctor, and the smell's lingering in the room. Oh dear, it's proper honking, And so he wants to take our blood pressure. So he says, "Oh, jump up on the bench." So I jump up there, and he leans across me to put this band on the arm, and it's him. It's the doctor. He's honking. And anyway, so we try not to breathe in, only breathe out. And so we get through it all, and he says, so thank you very much. And we go to the reception because I didn't know how to get a blood test. So I go to the reception and, say to the receptionist, who speaks a tiny bit of English, we have to book a blood test. I'm not sure how to do it. And she runs through it with us, and she said, "Oh, would you like to make your appointment now for your return?" And then I thought, am I going to say I don't want to see him? So we kind of danced around it. She knew. She works there, but she can't say anything, and I'm too polite to say anything. It was awkward. Awkward.
Oh, interesting. So talking about doctors and dentists and that kind of stuff, I went to the doctors here, and I was talking to the doctor, and he doesn't speak any English whatsoever.
Yeah.
The worst thing is he's Chinese. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he speaks really super fast. Zero, and when I say zero, it's actually probably minus bedside manner, and no interest at the fact that I can't understand what he's saying most of the time.
Yeah.
And I said to him, look, he says, you need just go and get a blood test. Here's your prescription for a blood test. I said, well, what did I do with this? He goes, well, exactly the same as it is in England. I said, no, it doesn't work like that in England.
Yeah, no, it's
you have to go and queue up like from 8 a.m. with everyone else at the hospital for the blood test. And he was like, oh, really? And I said, yeah. I said, it's not like that. He said, oh, no, you just go on Dr. Lib, you pick your time for your blood test, you go down there and it'll be done at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, that's just not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, I'm sure it is. I know English doctors. And I was like, oh.
You should have said to him, trust me, I'm a doctor.
Funny. But on the plus side, I found that I went to the dentist and it's really interesting. So I went to this dentist, and booked just for a checkup and to be accepted on their books and to become they can be my
lucky if I
whatever. So I went down there. It's about 30 minutes away. Drove down there, and the place is like a futuristic science fiction film. Never seen anything like it. Everything's like tranquil music playing everywhere. There's tea, no coffee because that might stain your teeth, but there's teas, fruit teas and stuff, and TV screens everywhere. And then this impeccably dressed lady comes and says, "What time's your appointment?" And it was 5 to 11, and my appointment was at 11 or whatever. So right, come with me. Go through all the stuff with a special room where you sit there and take all your information. You put your carte vitale in, and then they took you to this room where they have this head scanner.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So you stand there and you bite this thing, and it scans your entire head.
Yeah.
Did all that. Then you sat back in this almost like an office, and the dentist comes in, and he's like, fortunately, this guy speaks English. He trained in LA or somewhere. And he was like, right, well, so, what we're doing and all this kind of stuff. And then you have a proper consultation before he even looks at your teeth.
That's amazing.
He sits there and then goes, right, got any problems? What do you want to talk to me about? Shall we have a look? These are the results. And he showed you the results of the scan he's just done, like 10 minutes before. Yeah. It's all on there. And he says, look, this, that, and the other. And then he says, right, just wait there. I'll go and prepare the room, and then the assistant will come and bring you in, and we'll do a visual inspection, and then we'll create a plan if necessary for anything you need to do. I walked in there, and they have like a screen, and he says, do you want to watch what I'm doing, or would you like to watch a film or TV or just like a... And I was like, no, I don't want to watch. So he put like a little beach thing on there, and it was all like super cool. And then afterwards, he's like, that's fine. And then in the corner's another table, and he brings you over to the table, and he puts his little monitor on, and he goes, right, that's okay. And he goes, because he said to me, when was the last time you went to a dentist? And I said, well, the last time I went to a dentist
1987
was 14 years ago, because after that, the experience was so bad that it scared me to death. And he goes, well, actually, good news, there's no decay. You don't need any work doing, but we'll get you in for a deep clean later on. So all this, and he goes, right, give me a carte vitale, put it in the machine. Then he goes, that'll be €22, please.
Unbelievable.
The best thing is, I get home a couple of days later, my work mutual sends me an email saying, we're sending you €22.
Yeah, amazing.
For your dental examination.
That's the one thing we haven't got to grips with yet, finding a dentist. But, we need to do that. So, listen, time's hurtling on.
Sorry, I was going off on a tangent.
Not an issue.
Surprisingly,
I just wanted to cover one comment from last week's Apocalypse video, which was a runaway success. But it's a brilliant comment, really interesting. So it's from it's either Sue Whittam or Sue Witham. So sorry, Sue, if I got it wrong. One of the two. One of the two, Sue. She says, in the 20th century, magnetic north has moved 1,100 kilometres, 680 miles, and since 1970, its rate of motion has accelerated from 9 to 52 kilometres per year.
Wow.
The last swap between the poles was 780,000 years ago. And I think,
I remember reading that.
You wrote 780,000. Nice. What's the likelihood it changes soon? And Suze replied, so do I should imagine. but magnetic north. It's because we talked about in the Apocalypse video that the likelihood
Of it switching.
of a switch. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought
Interesting.
it was really interesting.
Someone's done their research there. That's quite a lot. Interesting. I really enjoyed that video. It's strange with this channel. We do some videos, well, like all YouTube channels, I think we do some that we really personally enjoy doing, but they don't do so well for the public. And then we do some that we just do run of the mill stuff, and then everyone loves it.
Yeah, there you go.
So, each to their own. But
all right. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Eddie?
I did. I've got. I've got a couple of. I've probably got enough. We've probably got enough for another episode, to be honest. But one quick one, I think, probably a good one for you actually, given your background is, how easy do you find it driving in France, i.e., it's on the other side of the road, to the UK, and how quick were you to adapt?
Yeah, so we had bought our first house in 2014-15. So we was over every 6 weeks. Up to the point that we moved out here 3 years ago. So every 6 weeks I was having to do it, and I actually found it more difficult when I went back than I did when we came here. The swap, if you like. But I find it just seems more natural to drive on the right.
Right, interesting.
Yeah. I think it's more natural.
So do you find it easier? Well, that's probably not a question you can answer unless you have you taken your French car back to England?
No.
So I was going to ask whether it would be easier to drive on the right or on the left with the opposite type of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Because I've still got my Ranger here is English, so that's right hand. That's right hand drive.
Yeah.
And I find that quite easy to drive on the right side of the road here.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, we had
the French car in England.
Yeah, I had a Mercedes ML. A Mercedes ML here for about the first 18 months, I suppose. And that was.
Did it take you long to adapt full time? Because now you think about it, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But
I don't even
when
think
you first came, did you think about it a lot?
There's only certain situations, certain road conditions where you have to really think about it. It's when you come up to a T junction.
And which way you look?
Which way do you look? When you pull out, which side of the road do you go onto?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That was the main issue, I think, where I really had to think about it. Roundabouts are easy because the road sort of throws you that way, doesn't it? But T junctions were the thing where you had to really think about it. But even now, when I'm walking, when I cross the road, I have to think about it. Which side I should be looking first.
Yeah, and I always look like I did when I was a kid, the wrong way for here.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I'll step out looking the wrong way, and there's a.
I know, right? Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's why I have to, because of that, because I've nearly got myself run over. I have to think about it and make a conscious effort to think.
Yeah, I'm going to cross the road now. I need to look.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, interesting. Okay, good. Thanks for that. I thought that'd be a good question for you.
Yeah. All right. So that was. I can't believe the time's whizzed by again.
As usual.
Crazy, yeah, it's crazy. So, as I say, anything to add finally?
No, that's it. I think. Well, I've got probably about 5 or 6 more questions.
Yeah.
But we ain't got time for them, so we'll do them another day, I think.
Yeah, do them another
So
day.
if anyone else has got any questions,
Yeah.
put it in the comments, and we'll add it to the list and get round to it when we can.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So thank you so much for watching. It's much appreciated. And if you made it through to this point,
Well done.
yeah, I'll send you a Christmas card probably because I probably know you.
Yeah. Hi, Mum.
So yeah, so if you'd like to give the video a thumbs up, that'd be great. And you know what? It's been such a long time since I've done this. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new content, and maybe share it on your socials, on your book faces and so on. And maybe think about subscribing if you're not subscribed already. All that leaves to say is goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.